You guys are going to lose your minds when you see the questions on the test that Westminster Council is making its employees take. I would say that I am shocked and surprised by this move by Westminster Council to make people take a privilege test, but it's not the first woke thing we've seen come out of this council. It has got a track record. We had a few months back, there was a video that they put out telling people how to qualify for social housing, and they put the video out in about 10 different languages to cater for the people that live in this country who are foreign nationals that do not bother to learn our language. We give them social housing as well, even though they don't bother to integrate in our country. We then had, which is linked to this story, we had the guidelines come out for them about a job application that they were putting up, and it detailed their policy on ethnic minorities, or as they call them, global majority groups, because the word ethnic minority is apparently cancelable now, right? And it clearly said there that if there are two candidates that are equally good, the employer, Westminster Council, must choose the candidate from an ethnic minority or global majority background. Okay, this council is just a complete and utter woke disaster. So let's have a look at what is going on with this new test that they've put out. So it's telling its staff, this Labour-run council, to undergo a privilege test in part of its efforts to combat unconscious bias about ethnic minorities. Westminster Council is also seeking to boost recruitment of non-white global majority candidates for senior posts by giving them preferential treatment over equally qualified white applicants, what I was just alluding to there, and ensuring that there is at least one ethnic minority candidate on the shortlist for job. But let's take a look at what they are doing with this test. So they are going to make their staff undergo mandatory unconscious bias testing and inclusive recruitment training with this test that they are doing. They're also assessing people's privilege, their white privilege as well in this test. They want their employees to match the 45% global majority population in the borough, and they are offered a virtual privilege walk in which staff are expected to assess their social advantage by gaining or losing points in an online quiz based on factors such as whether your parents read to you, if you drive a new car, and if you have never been stopped and searched by the police. Very, very odd. We've got the quiz for you, and I'm going to show you that in a moment, but first let's take a look at a clip from GB News on this from Headliners.
OK, right, just one more story before the break, because this is a really good one. Telegraph, and it looks like no one in this panel is likely to get a job at the Westminster Council, Steve.
Britain's wokest council tells staff to take white privilege test. Spoiler alert, you failed. I wouldn't bother doing the whole test, it just goes for that. So yes, Westminster City Council have this test where you get various points for things. The lower score, the better, because it does say that you start off with like 1.5 points for being a white man. I was like, thank you very much, well done. But it's lower points that you want. You lose points if you've seen your demographic that you belong to portrayed in the media badly. So I lose some points there. I watched Adolescence recently, so tick. And there's, it's absolutely pointless. Also, lower in the story is the bigger worry about their hiring system, where if they have two people of equal qualification, it will always be the person from the global majority, whatever the phrase is. But then also, if you don't have a candidate from the global majority, you have to call the boss. And they don't say what happens next, but it's probably that you get a candidate, and ergo, you'll end up picking that one. It's a closed-loop system.
I did this little test online, sorry. I did it. You can click, it's nice to click things online. I got moderately privileged. And like you say, one of them was, yes, I see members of my race, ethnic group, gender or sexual orientation negatively portrayed on TV. Yes, Adolescence plus every advert ever. I mean, there's only GB News. Yeah, this show. Of course, it's absurd. What really bothers me is this phrase, global majority. So they're admitting we're a minority, like white Europeans, whatever you want to call it. But we're still out to be discriminated against in the workplace. Why is it OK to attack this minority? I'm not trying to be cute. I genuinely don't understand. And this guy, Stuart Love, who's behind a lot of this, comes from South Africa, and it made he felt guilt growing up white there. What's that got to do with us? We abolished slavery. What's your South African guilt got to do with us? Why are we suffering for that? And why is Labour not taking the easy win of scrapping this garbage?
Well, also from this council, it's saying that 8% of the residents in Westminster are black, but they are twice the proportion of council employees. So 20% of the employees are are black. So
Yes.
there's just something
It's
seems...
disproportionate. Meanwhile, Arabs are underrepresented, so it's not actually equal anyway. It's an attempt to make
Because
it...
I'm imagining that a lot of the Arabs who live in Westminster Council are very rich, living around Kensington and various other areas.
Don't need a job in the council, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm guessing.
Even by pointing that out, you've just lost 3 points.
Although saying that, what was the figure that they said that it's gone up? Like people getting paid over £100,000 have gone up from 73 from 13 in the last 2 years. That's insane.
Wow, 73 employees earning over 100 grand at this council. No doubt a whole bunch of them will be like DEI managers. Now let's pick up on a couple of things that were mentioned there. So you saw Nick Dixon there mention that he has taken the quiz, and behold, I have the quiz for you here for you guys to take a look. You can go on the Telegraph website and take this quiz if you want to find out how privileged you are. And these are the questions. My parents or guardians read to me when I was a child. I have to take annual leave for my religious holidays. English is my first language. Oh, that's really bad if English is your first language. That brings you up on the privilege rating. I drive a new car. I have a designer handbag. I feel confident that someone in my close circle would be able to financially help if I was going through financial hardship. I live in rented accommodation. Oh, I'd do good there. That would bring my privilege rating down. I see members of my race, ethnic group, gender or sexual orientation negatively portrayed on TV. You saw that mentioned in that GB News clip there. How random is that? I have an illness or disability. I am a carer. I think twice about calling the police when trouble occurs. What are they insinuating there, right? So you will go down the privilege ranking. You'll be considered less privileged if you think twice before calling the police when trouble occurs. Presumably that is because they're suggesting that people from global majority backgrounds are scared to call the police because they're worried that the police will be racist towards them. I mean, what the hell? And that's followed by, I have never been stopped and searched by the police. You know what, if I took that quiz, I would click true on I think twice before calling the police when trouble occurs, because I do. You know why I think twice when trouble occurs to call the police? I usually don't call the police because I know they won't turn up. Anytime I see, near where I live, I see people, they smash people's cars, they park up outside the supermarket, and whilst they've left their bags in the cars, whilst they go in the supermarket, the guys, they come on their bikes, they smash the cars, and they steal everyone's stuff out the back of the cars, and then they cycle off, right? Whenever I see it, I've often called the police, right? But they always say, we can give you a crime reference number, but we're not going to do anything about it. So why would I bother calling them, huh? Okay, so I would tick I think twice on this one to bring my privilege rating down. That would be an honest answer. I've never been stopped and searched by the police. So you gain, that's the biggest one on there. No, that's the second. So the two things that make you very privileged on here, because most of them are 5 points, right? The thing that gives you 10 points is I've never been stopped and searched by the police, and I am a white male. So if you're a white male and you've never been stopped and searched by the police, I'm sorry, but you are probably never going to get a job at Westminster Council. Let's be honest. What's the other one on here? I do most of my food shopping at Waitrose or Marks and Spencer. Oh my god, it's just pathetic. And you heard them mention the woke guy from South Africa in charge, Stuart Love, who said that he feels the need to do all this woke stuff because he's guilty about his past living in South Africa with apartheid. And anyway, it gets worse because this is what he has said. So last year he told management today that he embraced wokeness as an awareness of social injustice. We should all be woke, he says. Wow. But particularly in local government where we are delivering services to communities. When things have gone wrong here, I've heard people say it's because I'm too woke. Maybe they're right, just a thought. Or I'm focusing on the woke agenda, he says. But all this has done is double down on my efforts. I lean into this term because it's been hijacked and weaponized. I'm quite happy to be accused of being socially aware of injustice. Wow, so this guy, he loves being woke. He's never going to give up. He's got his ears closed to any criticism of his woke agenda. He sees that as reason to double down on his efforts. Wow, wow, wow. What a world we are living in, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe they should focus on, as he says, delivering services to local communities rather than all of this woke rubbish. You're probably spending a load of money on DEI managers that are completely unnecessary. Anyway, that's the latest. I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to Reason for more videos like this.